Hey everyone, welcome to Alpha Insights. I'm Allison, and I'm so glad you're here.
And I'm Asher. Great to have you with us. And hey, if you have questions while you're listening, drop them at stockalpha.ai.
Today we're digging into a chunk of conversation that landed overnight. A long-form podcast on High Times channel with Steve D'Angelo taking a pretty critical look at how legalization has actually played out.
Right, and the headline is not earnings or a price move. It's narrative risk. Smuggling, legacy growers feeling sidelined, and messy hemp rules. That kind of stuff shapes perception more than immediate trading.
Exactly. Steve says legalization feels unfinished, that regulated channels haven't fully replaced the illicit market in places where access, price, and product quality still lag. Which sounds obvious, but the implication is worth repeating. If licensed stores can't undercut illegal suppliers on price or match the product legacy consumers want, then growth for public operators could be capped.
And to add to that, he points to cultural friction. Legacy cultivators versus big corporate operators. Brand trust matters in a consumer market, and alienating core buyers can hit repeat purchases.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, the real question here is, how do public companies respond without sounding tone-deaf? Do they reform product lines, lean into authenticity, or try to scale cheaper and risk further alienation?
And honestly, I was a bit surprised by how much the hemp and CBD disputes came up. Those regulatory gray areas, what some folks call the hemp wars, create supply chain headaches and enforcement uncertainty.
Which means execution risk for companies expanding into wellness and CBD. Policy timelines matter. A change in federal or state enforcement or any new guidance from regulators could shift the playing field quickly.
Right, so for listeners tracking names, this is more about companies like Tilray, Curaleaf, Green Thumb Industries, Trulieve, and the Cannabis Exchange-Traded Fund people watch, all of whom might need to address legacy market pressures in upcoming communications.
Analysts note that investors will be listening closely to earnings calls and press statements for clues on consumer retention, channel displacement, and how margins might be affected by SKU cuts or extra marketing spend.
Short reactions. Keep an eye on policy calendars, corporate messaging, and social sentiment. Those three signals can change narratives over days or weeks, not necessarily minutes.
Right.
A concrete example. If a state steps up enforcement against unlicensed sellers, that could boost licensed sales. But if regulators keep dragging their feet on hemp rules, companies relying on CBD could face supply or labeling problems.
And it's not just law and policy. If advocacy groups and legacy growers amplify criticism of corporate consolidation, that can influence consumer choices and even local licensing debates.
The thing is, nobody saw this coming in a neat way. Media moments like this podcast don't move prices immediately, but they shift the conversation and the questions analysts will ask.
Exactly. So when you hear corporate quarterly calls in the next few weeks, listen for three things. How companies describe competition with illicit sellers, what they're doing to win back legacy consumers, and their exposure to hemp and CBD regulatory risk. And remember, this is informational. We're not giving investment advice. Analysts and journalists will digest the episode, and any market moves will probably follow regulatory or company-specific news.
Key takeaways. 1. Legalization is not finished. Illicit markets still matter. 2. Cultural friction between legacy growers and big operators can hit brand trust and repeat business. 3. Watch policy calendars, corporate communications, and social sentiment for the next several sessions.
Exactly. Those are the levers that could create narrative-driven volatility, not an overnight earnings shock.
All right, quick wrap. If you're tracking this sector, stay tuned to enforcement updates, read the upcoming earnings calls carefully, and watch how companies try to bridge the gap with legacy consumers.
Got questions? We'd love to hear from you. Head over to stockalpha.ai, where you can ask us anything, and we'll answer live. And while you're there, Check out more market content and our Q&A feature.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back with more Alpha Insights. See you next time.